was out there telling a story. He said, yeah, and man, and it's like Buck Cherry, the band Buck Cherry. And Connor says, excuse me. I swear to God, excuse me. And Roger stops and looks down at this kid. And he said, I think you mean Chuck Berry. And then Roger said, this kid. He got a hoot out of that. Now, that's my boy.
Something in the water taught me how to crawl. Something in the water taught me how to fall. Something in my blood.
Hey, hello. Welcome to another Something in the Water podcast. I'm Sean Clark, one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with your other host.
Don't listen to him.
Dave Griffin. And today our guest is local Southeast Georgia musician Scott Wilson. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Scott's been around these parts for a pretty good while, and we've known each other quite a while, and I think he's helped me get gigs, and I've helped you get a few gigs here and there.
Yep.
And that's kind of like kind of friends that I like.
That,
Yeah.
and that's it. You help each other out when.
Yeah, you never know. You never know when you're going to need that little extra gig or something to pay for your wife's new shoes. But you are married.
That's right.
And you got
a 16-year-old
16-year-old boy,
Parker. Yeah.
Parker. And you work for the railroad.
Yeah. Bridge department. I hang and dabble from all the movable bridges from Jacksonville to Tampa. But
Like trestles or
yeah, the ones that open and close.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You hang from them.
Yeah. I'm one of them spider people with harnesses and all that stuff.
Does it scare you?
No.
Never has?
No. Not afraid of heights or anything.
I'm afraid of falling.
Yeah.
Well,
Fine with being high
I'm
up.
sure that they prepare you for all of that, and you have to go to a lot of safety courses.
Yeah. You're protected though. It's one of those jobs not a lot of people can do it as far as the physical aspects and stuff like that. 'Cause sometimes you got to get under and put yourself in a position you don't like being in with just to,
Right
I've
above
worked
the
with
water?
sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. But
How high above the water is the highest you've ever been? Or maybe compare it to like the bridge to Brunswick.
Well, that's the tallest one, and that's the tallest bridge in
pretty
Georgia,
high.
I think.
Is that right?
yeah. Now, some of the other bridges, once in a while, if you're tied off, and we'll have to get them to open and close it to see what the problem is. But
Well, that was so high they don't even worry about a drawbridge there.
Mhm. Used to be
So
drawbridge.
the drawbridges are typically lower, closer to the surface of the water.
yeah.
And you're not in any real looking down, going, oh.
You like rappel
Right.
down, or
What's that?
is it like rappelling?
No. However, I've worked with, I've had to pull time for some guys that did stuff like that. But us is just, you tie off and abide by all the rules. However, you really do want to look out for yourself and have a fall plan in case you do fall in and you're floating and your coworkers,
They're still attached.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
You have to wear a life vest
Yep.
up there?
Yep.
Okay, in case you do hit the
Well,
water,
if you're climbing, it's all different then. You got double harness and all that stuff. But if you're just out there on the bridge doing little work, and you got to be down on the columns that hold up the bridge, pinned and tied, life vest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
What do you do actually? Technically, are you welding or
sometimes
is it like tightening a bolt here and there? Or whatever's
everything,
called for?
it's a little of that, a little of this, inspection, looking over the bridges, because most of these bridges are automated now, operated from another location, so they really don't have a physical bridge tender there to do all the inspection. So that's what we do.
Well, those days, are like a lot of things, those days are gone.
Yep.
The live bridge tender,
Yeah.
he's done automated out of the picture.
Yep.
Probably a good thing. Some of them damn bridge tenders.
Yeah.
He used to get on the job and be like,
Yeah.
big one rolling in. And
So you've been playing guitar ever since I've known you. You've been how old were you when you started?
I think I was 15.
was 15.
I bought a SG copy from Music Corner for $85, and I had mowed several people's grass, including relatives, my grandma's and everything. I was saving up. I saw that thing, and at the time, AC/DC was that's what I was listening to. Angus Young, and that thing looked just like one of his guitars. So got it. Fret damage, it was awful, and didn't know how to tune it. And we didn't have capabilities of So I learned. Somebody taught me how to. I tuned 2 strings or 3. Why not 4? I don't know. But I just did bar chording, to start with, and so I could do the "Rock You Like a Hurricane" thing, and and right down the street, Josh Kirkland was playing, and I could hear him from my house, and so we'd talk. I go, "Hey man, what you playing?" And he go, "Man, I'm doing this," and I don't know if it was him or someone else finally showed me how to tune it. All right. And I remember going to Music Corner buying 1 string at a time, 75 cents. And the guy that was running the place sang for the
Terry Pender,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah. And he'd look at me like, really? But anyway, Josh come by one day, or I went to his house, went in his room, listened to him. He was playing some Kiss.
Yeah.
Detroit Rock City or something. And I had learned how to do something that he hadn't yet.
Okay.
So he was like, man, and Becky, he was like, sit here, Mom, I need some lessons or something like that. Well, that's the only time that lasted. It was very short. I started hearing, I thought I was hearing a radio down there.
Oh, yeah.
No,
He was
him.
taking off. Yeah.
And phenomenal the way his ear is. He and tuning an amp to get what he wants. And that's the difference. By no way, shape, or form am I comparing myself to him. But playing wise, he's a mimicker. He hears every little thing. Well, number one, I'm going to play something like it, go around it, and do my own little thing. Originality, whatever. But man, he can mimic everything to his ear. His best gift, I think.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too long when I was just stutter stepping, learning this and that. He was already playing in a band. Ronnie running sound for some, and he's got a God-given gift. He's always been great, man. Some of the stories I'll tell this one story about Josh. before him and I ever picked up a guitar, I remember him wandering in our yard. We was always playing ball, stuff like that. But during the summer, barefooted, our feet were tough, you know, and we had stickers. Well, my feet were so tough I didn't feel them. But here he come running in the yard to see what we were doing. And man, walked right into him. He was like, ah. And I remember my dad picked him up, picked all the stickers out of his feet, you know, took him out to the road, you know. But anyway.
Set him back down.
Because he was like, he's a year and a half maybe or 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
Something like that. Pretty close, but I don't know. But
well, for y'all listeners out there, we have had Josh Kirkland on one of our earlier podcasts, and he didn't say a whole lot, but he makes up for that in actual guitar shredding. He is a class act now. When it comes, just like we were talking about, he's a mimicker. He studied. He dove deep into. He'd take a stack of CDs into his bedroom every night, stay up all night, sleep during the day, you know. But he'd come out of there after that full night of listening to all of them and learning the guitar leads to all the songs. That's why you can call on him. You can say, "Steely Dan," and he'll dial up the tone and get it all.
And see that's the way everybody. I ain't saying everybody, but most of your musicians now, and I ain't picking on them, but they got everything at their hands with, you know.
Yeah.
But back then, you listened, you tuned to whatever key they were in. Most of the time, it was standard, and played with it, rewind it, played with it. Now me, I got a touch of ADD, so I would get the parts of it and I'd go with it. You know, somebody like Josh is going to sit there until he gets every little thing. Charlie Thornton, another great player. Great songwriter also. Yeah. He's playing with him was awesome. Him and I had a band with Kirby Hanchy and Todd Hendry, who's no longer with us. But Charlie's playing is different than my playing, and that's what I enjoyed about it. We'd trade off and stuff like that. And I'm not saying I'm some boohoo, you know, but his picking, you could hear all kinds of influences with his pull-offs and stuff like open pick his Outlaws and stuff like that. And then I do my little thing, whatever it is. But
I don't know if I ever recall hearing Charlie. Charlie Thornton. I had in my head Charlie Chastain the whole time you was talking. Charlie Chastain played more like acoustic.
Yeah.
Didn't he around here?
He played electric too, I think.
Did he? Okay.
And then he...
but now Charlie Thornton that you were talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, definitely. And what was the name of that first band? Do you remember?
You know what we had? We had about 8 different names, and we couldn't settle on anything.
Just use one every weekend.
Man. And then one time we went, it was something like Stack. That was so blame, but it was all our first initials because we couldn't agree on things. I'd come up with a name and I loved it, and they didn't like it. They thought it sounded morbid, but it was Cradle to Grave.
Cradle to the Grave?
Yeah, Cradle to Grave. And I was like, man.
Cradle to Grave.
Yeah, we'll put Cradle, put a number 2 to make it look cool, and put Grave. And Charlie was like, man, that sounds morbid. We don't want that up there. Well, one time I tricked them and called Lita. This is at the Gold Corral building.
Okay.
Before that.
Yeah.
Cypress Creek, I guess it was. And I told her, I said, put a Cradle to Grave. So when they pulled up, they was but anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it was fun. We'd play out for a long time, 4 or 5 months, and then we just take a break and then get back together. And Todd passed.
Todd Hendry.
Years later, we had already, calmed it down a little bit. But it's funny, when I first started getting into guitar, going in World Hi-Fi in the mall.
Oh, boy.
They had some guitars up there, and I just looked, and I wanted to play something, So a friend of mine, Butch McQuigg, was like, man, just grab one and let's play back here, you know. Well, Todd worked there, and he had glasses, tall. He worked there for a long time, and I'd go, hey, I'm gonna play that Lotus right there. He goes, he'd look at me and go, can you play? Oh, and then I didn't know what to say, so he wouldn't give me the guitar.
Oh,
Yeah. But so next time I went in there, I said, all right, this time I'm ready, you know. And I go, hey, I want to play the guitar. And he looked at me, I said, I can play, man. So I get guitar, and he goes, don't turn that amp above 1. So I'd get in the back of the store, you know, make racket, and later, but it didn't hit me till we was at practice one day, and I stopped the whole practice. I said, hey, stop. And I go, you're that a-hole that just worked around how fine, wouldn't you? And so, but he's a good guy.
What year would that have been? Roundabout
85, 86.
Okay. Well, World Hi-Fi was in the mall.
Yeah.
And James Blunt was the owner of it. And Billy Ray Heron used to work there in 74. So about 10 years earlier. And I'd always go in there myself, you know. And this was back in the early days of Sweetbriar when we were putting that band together, and we had a 4-piece group, and I was determined that I was the lead guitar player, which was very funny. And I was in way over my head. I don't know what Ray was thinking. But anyhow, I remember Joe Shear was a local, you know, car body shop kind of guy, you know, but he was a good lead guitar player, and he could sing his butt off too. He came walking through the mall with his hands in his pockets and his shoulders shrugged up around his ears, and you tell, Joe, buddy, what's wrong, man? He was just discouraged and frustrated with the band that he was in, and we said, me and Ray kind of looked at each other out of the corner of our eyes. Well, come on in, Wiltronics right here, World Hi-Fi. Let's play some guitar. And we got in the back, and it used to be the car stereo room.
Yeah.
And you could close them doors off on it. But we'd get in there after hours. Ray had locked the store down, and then we'd go to the back and just sit on the carpet back there with acoustic guitars. And we were back there with Joe, and we said, you know what, Joe? You need to just join our band. We'll go over there right now. We went over to the practice house and plugged in, you know. And it was like, okay, this is what we need right here. That's a lead guitar player. This is not. And plus he had that vocal. I mean, tried and true vocal. And we were playing a lot of harmony songs, you know. Eagles and Doobie Brothers and Wet Willie and what have you. But old World Hi-Fi. I bought 2 guitars from him. A Martin D28.
Wow.
They have Martins in there?
Yeah. And a beautiful cherry Les Paul. And the D28, I ended up getting rid of both of them over the years for different reasons, but that was World Hi-Fi, which was
my first guitar.
place.
My first guitar came from there. My parents bought it when I was 15, but it was a K, but not the good K. It was like this long of a guitar, you know. And
You were 15?
15, and they bought it was a little red, you know, one pickup, one knob, couldn't tune it if you wanted to, and a Gorilla bass amp, but that did not go together.
Didn't.
Like whoever sold them this was just.
Well, you know, I've seen that same configuration. Matter of fact, the guitar you're talking about, I had, and somebody give it to me at high school when I was 16. And you got to remember, I had that old SG that it was a piece of junk, you know. But I had that, and it had a rocking little pickup in it,
Mhm.
but like you said, it wouldn't stay in tune. So I played it for a little while. It's like a miniature
Mhm.
electric, and but a Gorilla. I remember the bass Gorilla amp,
Mhm.
and so maybe they sold them together like that.
I was like, I didn't know what about nothing. you
Yeah.
know, but I was like,
You
I
were
don't know
excited
anything, Mom, but I
probably, weren't you?
don't think this is what it's supposed to sound like. I was like, I turn on the MTV, like, you hear that? This don't sound like that.
Well, I tell you what I did to get some distortion is my dad always had some pretty decent stereo equipment. I would run into his stuff and push record on the cassette deck, and it would go through something else. It'd go through something, and you got a little bit of distortion. It was weird, but man, I just stayed in there, played, and but over the years, getting a job, getting this, you start buying a little bit better, and it seemed like for years, I would play play one for a while, and I'd go, man, I really like this. I play somebody else's, and I'd be instantly jealous, going, man, I want that one. But anyway,
Guitar fever.
Are y'all the same age, or who's older?
I think I'm older.
I'm 47.
Oh yeah, I'm 53. So
Okay. So Josh is about 51.
one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember seeing Sean for the first time, Ruskin Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a
Y'all
party.
playing at his house,
Mhm.
and Gravy.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, there was a band.
and then I saw you at Whitfield's one night. I don't know if y'all were ending a set or something, but you had a wah. And man, you was hitting that wah and doing your head. And I was like, yeah. And I pulled up a stool, and man, you were getting into it. And I love seeing people do that. I don't know, it just gives me a charge, inspiration or whatever. But it didn't last that long. Y'all broke. And then I guess that was it.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting to hear some more, and then
You remember any of the other ones in the band?
no, I do
Gravy?
not.
That was Jesse Heron,
Yeah, I do remember Jesse.
Graham
Graham Griffin,
and Will Thrift.
Will Thrift on drums.
And if there was another guitar player, that was Jamie Moore. But he
Jamie was in Gravy?
he came in at the probably last 6 months of the band or something.
Okay.
We might
Y'all
not-
also had a sax player, Cardwell.
Yeah, he wasn't really in Gravy.
Zach,
It was kind of pre-Gravy
Yeah.
when we were trying to form a band, and I think we called it the Severals or something. We had a different band name every week,
Mhm.
And but if we didn't come back that night, it's probably because Graham went AWOL or something.
He do
And
that a lot.
That's why I learned to sing, because I was like, hell with this.
Graham?
And that's what got me to singing. Playing, I was playing with all older guys, and the songs that they were choosing, cover band. Man, I was doing my own thing, rocking it up a little bit, and I just it got to a point where I was like, man, I've got to sing because this is awful. But and that I pushed myself to start doing that, and just like playing out acoustically or whatever on my own, I finally pushed myself into doing that because I've always wanted to do it. I just always played in bands.
It's steps.
Yeah, it's
you
steps.
you're scared.
Yeah, I had no natural talent for singing whatsoever. I mean, it was bad. I mean, not that it's good now, but it was many a year.
Yeah, well, you
Screeching.
sing with the radio and stuff like that, and I was like, I can't sing, but it's song choosing too. And I noticed
you can find what you can do.
Yeah. Picking out material that that you can handle and not be hoarse at the end of the night. I finally got to that point. I was like, man, I got to kick that one out. So yeah, and you got to know your voice,
know your limits.
limits.
Yeah.
People request something that you like, but you're like, I don't do that because you don't like that. I like it. That just don't sound good. To me. I can't sing like Robert Plant.
Yeah. Do some Boston. Sing some Boston.
I always tell them I ain't got my tight underwear on. That usually makes them laugh, and then they forgot about their request.
Yeah.
No, I love challenge, and I get them often. Like let's see, Friday night I had one that I knew just as good as anything, but had never played it. So I pull up the words on the phone. Oh, it's 2 Tickets to Paradise. And I quickly sussed it out and said, no, that's too low. Let's see. All right, I played it out of D. And then once I'm into it, I said, damn, I should have shoved this on up so I could at least give them something kind of charged, with a little bit of angst to it. But, you just don't know. You just kind of
2 Tickets to Paradise.
2 Tickets to Paradise. Johnny Cash version. But it is fun. God knows playing out.
It is.
And being a part of somebody's night, they're out putting on the dog, kind of kicking back and done worked hard all week long. And got the woman with them, and they're going to treat her to a nice meal, and then you're there. It's like,
and it's
but
good.
that's what I love, and I love to grab hold of them and say, "Hey, how y'all doing? What get them involved. That's what's fun to me."
And get it's that vibe of feeding off of them too.
Yeah,
You got to.
yeah.
Oh man, there's nothing like having a good crowd.
Well, you could feed off them if you was just this guy sitting in the corner not saying a word.
Right.
You could feed off them if you were real good, and they start responding to you. You're feeding off of them like that.
Yeah, and then some nights you could be Eddie Van Halen or Eric Clapton there. They don't
care.
It's like crickets.
But if you do get, I was talking to somebody last night after the gig. I can't remember who it was, but anyway, I hadn't thought about it since then. But when you are getting that feedback from the crowd, all of a sudden, it was Maria, but you can kick it into another gear, and you're playing it like you ain't never played it,
Right.
doing things you've never
so
done in it.
Good too.
It's like, where's that every time?
Yeah. Well, we're just old, eccentric, needy artists.
Yeah. Love me.
Artists love approval. It's not that we have to have it.
No, but
God, man, it just like we're just talking about, it makes everything.
it energizes you,
It makes
elevates you a
everything
little
go
bit.
so much better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got through with the gig at the fish dock. Shout out to the fish dock, Townsend, Georgia, 912. Google it. Good food. We got through there and we had to play the next day over there at Jekyll Island. So Will Gore, Bonnie Blues lead guitar player, put us up for the night. And we was out there at about 2 a.m. drinking beer and writing silly songs. It was a lot of fun, though. Yeah. He's a good man. Good guy. Okay, so as talking about songwriting now, when was it that you maybe decided, all right, you just said you was playing in that band with the older guys and you said, good Lord, I got to start singing. Salvage this. And then where along that route of firsts did you say, I want to turn my hand to songwriting?
It was a long time after that. It
Oh,
was,
really?
yeah. I dibbled and dabbled and had like a composition book and some folders with ideas and stuff like that. And I was approaching it way, way too wrong. I was going to write the perfect song, when I sat down. I had a thought, I had a catch. I heard somebody say something, a phrase, an old phrase, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go with that. It wasn't until COVID hit that I sat down and just started going,
Wow.
Boom, just started spitting some out. And
Okay.
some of them are okay. Some of them need a little help. Some of them need, some
So those videos.
a musician's criticism. I can't use my wife's criticism all the time. I mean, sometimes it's too harsh. And so, I need, some need tweaking.
Yeah.
Am I going to be a great songwriter and sell something? No, but I enjoy doing it.
Okay.
And
that's what it's all about.
yeah, and Charlie and I hook up a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and he's written so many, and he's got a new recording thing. We're starting to get where we record some of the songs that we both have done,
Mm-hmm.
but never recorded, and
Okay.
something to do, something to get into. But COVID hit, boom. I started writing, doing this, and then I got hit with the big C. And so that's a life changer. And
Of course. Well,
and-
Charlie did too.
Charlie did too. Charlie got diagnosed before I did. And it's when I say a life changer, you're going, oh boy, this is putting everything on a halt here. And it did.
Yeah.
But you got to do it. You got to go through this. You got to do that. You listen to your doctors. You got to go through that. And I did it. Went through it. Stayed busy. I don't wish any of those treatments on anyone. But luckily, caught it in enough time where all that treatment did me good. And so I was ready to have surgery and all this stuff as of March, April, going into May. It was on the thing for me to do it. And then
This
boom.
year?
And when I got through with radiation, did the MRIs, the scans, and nothing showed up. It was gone.
Jeez.
So now I'm on like what you call a watch and wait.
What form was it?
Up in a place you don't want it to be.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And
That's pretty bad. A bad one.
That's
Yeah.
Charlie's too, wasn't it? Was his?
no, his is different. His
Different.
is hips.
Hips.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he's doing great too.
Mhm.
And Wendy is doing great.
Yep.
So we've got to thank the man upstairs. That's all I can say.
Right. Well, my mother passed from it, and it was, just something you don't think about. You
Nope.
you don't dwell on it. I mean, it's just like when COVID came along, and everybody was having to pay attention to it and all. It was a lot of people took the thing like, screw it, I don't want to know about it. I just,
Right. Andy, if you focus on what you want to achieve in life, and then maybe it puts a damper, puts a big old cloud over your head at first,
Sure.
but you gotta take it and just go.
Do
Do
it.
it. And I stayed so busy doing stuff, the to-do list around the house that I keep putting off.
Mhm.
Man, I stayed busy doing this,
I
doing
would
this.
imagine,
And you got to just keep your mind right. It's hard.
Oh, of course, yeah.
However, you start looking at things, or I did, in a whole different perspective of if I did go,
Yeah.
how are they going to be when I go?
Mm-hmm.
If this happens, and you start looking at stuff like that, and
Mhm.
it's all depressing. But you gotta come back up. Come back up.
Mm.
But
I didn't. When I found out it was, hey, Scott's got over it or he beat it, and I was like, I didn't even know it. Like,
yeah,
'cause-
and I didn't broadcast or
Yeah.
anything, but I'm not hiding it either because if anybody goes through this, I'm begging them to call me,
Yeah.
and give my psyche opinion on what I did to
Mhm.
get through it from here, and catching it early is key.
Mhm.
And prior to it getting diagnosed, I knew something was going on. Didn't know what, but because of COVID, couldn't get in there
Yeah.
for anybody to see. They kept canceling my
Mm-hmm.
things. But
Well, thank God.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank God that you even despite the lag there from COVID, that you still were early
yeah,
in detecting it and
yeah,
getting it seen to. Yeah, I've always heard that, and I've always wondered myself. I've put myself in other people's shoes. If that were to ever be my fate, how you deal with it is everything.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
You can look at it, okay, one of two ways. You're either going to just go into that depression tailspin and just like give up, or you're going to approach it
You
like
can't.
you did and just like fight and positive opinion above that negative, depressing opinion. If you dwell on it to the point that you say, I can't do this. I've got it.
Yeah,
What can I do?
yeah.
But if you have that fight and that positivity, that makes all the difference in the world.
It does.
Sometimes ain't nothing can help you. But Lord, I am so glad that you whipped it, and
Sure.
Charlie too.
Yeah.
Charlie and Wendy, our dear friends. They're battling, and they've been through some tough times.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah,
And,
very much recently.
We we hang out with them so much, and we all talk about what our stuff. But Charlie and Wendy, they're up on that, but they push themselves every day and rise and shine with good thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the six of us, me and my wife and Charlie and Wendy and you and Polly, spent about 2 hours in your camper trailer at your RV at Swamptown.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hoot. I mean, by the time I got down there, y'all had already been communing.
Well, I think that was Charlie's.
Oh, it was Charlie's and Wendy's
Yeah.
trailer, yeah. And I kind of walked in on it, but it was something about my wife was having an argument with you about you tasing your wife. he had them women wound up, boy. He said, I tell you how I keep my wife in line. I just tase her.
Yeah. And, hey, she looked at me like, what?
Lynn, my wife just got a hold of it and bit.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, when she says something out of line, he goes, I don't hesitate. I just go in there and tase her. And so I said, just wait. I'll get with Dave. And that's when it started.
Show him the rope.
Yeah, that's when it started.
Got a little handbook.
We had a good time, though. We were playing some kind of a trivia game. It was, something to do with musicians. It was like who played in something, and everybody'd have to guess who.
Right.
It was throwing trivia out there,
And that's one of and I'm sure y'all been told the same. When you're a musician, and the stuff you're into, you remember all you soak it in and remember, and it's with some people it's useless information, but you got it. And I love doing trivia over stuff like that, movies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I meet my match sometimes. I'm good with individuals being in bands and stuff like that. Like my son, on the other hand, he's good with dates. What year it come out? What month? Sometimes.
Okay.
I gave him a book years ago with all that information. Man, he soaked it up.
Yeah.
And so when we have a board trivia game, and I started out way ahead of him. I go, well, of course, I'm going to beat him. Shoot. Before I knew it, he won. But he had a knack. He he's drifting into his own little venues now, but he for years and dates that stuff were published and out and all that stuff, man, he's pretty keen on it.
Is he playing an instrument now?
No, I'm trying to force it down his neck. And started with drums with Connor teaching him. And I've got a room full of guitars up there. I said, one day you're gonna say, Dad, why don't you just whip me, make me go? No, I've tried.
You can't do that.
However, he's got some friends wanting to play, and he's wanting me to set the drums back up. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of that music room you're talking about, that's inside your home, or is it separate?
Upstairs? Yes.
Upstairs?
The whole length of the house is like a bonus room, and I split it. Over half of it's my music room, and then got like we call it the media room, which I did a number in both rooms, but really proud of the music room. I got all my stuff up there, but man, I don't throw away anything. I got pedals that I don't sell. I keep them, you know. I got my album collection, guitar collection, memorabilia type stuff. I mean, I love it. I keep it, hang it, try to show it off neatly. But
awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the videos, and that's why I was so surprised when you said your original songwriting really didn't kick into gear until 2020.
It's
because I've seen a lot of those little clips of you in your music room, and it'll say original song. And there was like several of us. I said, well, he's been writing songs a lot.
Yeah, and I just started.
Okay.
Weird as it sounds. And then some of them in the past that I'd write, I didn't think they were worthy of even tackling again, so I throw them away. And then, but it was, it's a breath of fresh air when you get something to go with. And some of it is sayings and stuff. I like to write. I know y'all do too. Write stuff down that people say, and I want to use it one day, in this or that. Maybe you will, maybe you won't.
Well, that's why you never throw anything away.
All right.
That's the key to it. And always songwriters, they always sitting there with their ears wide open, Whereas other people, like our wives, they say, you don't hear that squeaking in the back of the... No, not till you pointed it out. And I'm sitting there like, Jesus, about to drive me crazy. But I guess we're just attuned to everything in a kind of like a different zone. Listening out for the obscure little phrase. You hadn't ought to have done that.
Yeah.
Or, huh? If I'd known that you'd want to win, I'd see that you'd got to get to go. And you just said, like, what? Diagram that sentence, Miss Bennett, my 10th grade English teacher. All right. So high school. You was more than just struggling young guitar player. You was also an athlete, weren't you?
Yeah. I always played ball.
It was some pretty damn record-breaking athletics, wasn't it?
Well, baseball, yeah. I played football, basketball up till my junior year. Yeah,
Ware County Gators.
And then I just stuck with. I didn't play my last year of football. Hurt my right arm, and I was scared I wasn't going to be able to play in my senior year baseball season. So
you're right-handed.
Yep.
Pitcher.
So I finished out just baseball my senior year, and then went to South Georgia and played for a little bit. Then history, working, playing, started playing music then. But so that the sports fell by the wayside at that point. But yeah, grew up. My dad coached ball even when I was in second grade. Started coaching at Ware County So he had a ton of guys go through him. I went through him, and he kept coaching after me. So he just loved it. And now I will say this. One of my biggest inspirations, even when music, was him. He always had some music going, whether it be his era. He would even get Adventure Out Pablo Cruz or something like that, and they, from that to that, Santana. When I first heard Santana, I was probably 5. And man, I dug it, and I was surprised he was in it later on, looking back at it.
Yeah.
But I like Santana, the bongos, all that stuff. Even to this day, I kind of like some of that Latina playing, and when I play out, I do a little bit. But I remember turning some of his golf clubs upside down to make it look like a microphone, and singing to you remember American Graffiti soundtrack? Was that Lucas did it?
George Lucas, yeah.
Man, he had
First
that was
big
all,
movie.
Yeah, that was a great soundtrack. All the songs he had on there, but that was my first love. Is all those 50s hit, a little bit of 60s, and so it wasn't until you're gonna beat me up on this one. Like the Bee Gees area come out, and it was all over the radio. It was kind of force fed to you. And I to this day though, I don't badmouth it. I don't do much dancing, but if I do, it'll be something to the Bee Gees.
But you liked it.
Oh yeah,
when
I
it came out.
I liked it.
I liked it too. My parents had the vinyl Saturday Night Fever.
Y'all talking about Saturday Night Fever, Bee Gees.
That's what did that. I bought that soundtrack when I was 9. Album. And
have you ever delved back and listened to them prior to that?
Yes,
when they started out.
Bee Gees Gold, I had that and stuff like that. And now, man,
some great stuff.
Oh
too.
yeah, they were great.
They were good.
And they got caught up in what was going on at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you change with the times.
Oh yeah.
And if you're reflective of it, and then you're making money,
right?
And they did. They wrote some big time songs
and continued writing
for themselves
in the 80s,
and everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, Islands in the Stream, I believe, is a Barry Gibb song.
I told you that story of
I
didn't know it was. And I was working. Me and my mom used to mess around with some furniture in the yard and stuff, and the radio was in the distance, and I had an air compressor going, painting, but I could hear it was Islands in the Stream, but I couldn't
hear the
pinpoint it.
I mean, I knew it was what it was, but the air compressor and all, I couldn't, distinguish their voices as much. And I was like, man, this sounds just like a Bee Gees song. And then I was like, this has to be, like, it got to my mind. I was like, this has to be a Bee Gees song. It's like written just like their other songs. And I looked it up, and they wrote it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that before.
Tell me, I've heard a snippet of this because, like I say, this past festival was that, and it's another thing I'm grateful to y'all for is that you attend our festivals.
Oh yeah,
religiously, and y'all are part of it just as much as we are. And in the campground is where a lot of the magic takes place, and we were down there on a Friday night. And got caught up around y'all's campfire.
Yeah,
we started trading stories, and you told me tell our viewers and listeners about Sonny's barbecue.
Oh,
just a little piece of it.
Well,
what about Sonny's barbecue? Do you know
it goes
about?
back. My cousin, first cousin, who. Him and I are very close, like brothers. He's a year behind me. They live in Gainesville, Florida. And his dad grew up with the Tillmans, and Sonny Tillman, that is, and the other brothers, and took up for him in fights and stuff like that. They loved him. About my uncle.
They were from Florida as well. Sonny Tillman was.
Yep.
Okay.
And So going to spend the summer or weeks with my cousin in Gainesville, his dad would have us out in the middle of the woods, and it was literally out with oak tables, sanding, building this, and that was the tables going in all those sunnies.
Oh my God!
And
Wow.
So he had already had the idea and had it bankrolled, and
yeah,
uh,
so
y'all were prepping the
and
dining furniture.
And they would, and you know, it was. I remember thinking it was at the end of the sun and the fun when I went to Gainesville previously with my. I was over. We were working, and so we were out there doing, and they'd leave us alone. And, you know, 14, 13 years old, we'd be like, man, we'd sit there a while, and I go, well, they're coming back. We better do something, you know. So then they'd come back and check what we were doing. But yeah, it was tables,
benches
that we were sanding. I think they had somebody else lacquer them and do all this stuff, you know. But
what did you learn from that?
Yeah.
Can you eat it? Have you ever ate at a Sundays?
I wasn't going back to Gainesville to have fun anymore with my cousin.
Did you ever eat at a Sundays?
Yeah. Years later, no, well, down there we did.
Yeah.
And then you know, we had the one here,
Right.
for short stints.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think didn't your brother have something to do with that, or no?
Not that I know of. Now, and that's a good question. I need to ask him next time we see each other.
And I've ate at them since.
You probably already got a dadgum lifetime deal out of it.
But it was funny back then doing that, and then when I do go in some of those Sundays, I go, I might have did that chair or that table there.
Look there.
But
if I'd only marked it.
But anyway,
that's pretty cool. Well, let's take a little short break, and when we come back, if you'd like to play some songs, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. So, folks, we'll be right back.
Something in my brain won't let me stray. Something in my veins gonna find its way. Something in the water taught me how to pray.
At this point, the audience applauds because we're back, you know, and as you hear the studio audience, Justin's going to pipe that in the edit. Folks, welcome back. We are professionals ourselves. We have our own sound effects. But welcome back. Once again, we appreciate y'all being here. And our guest this time is Scott Wilson, and he's got this beautiful Gibson acoustic guitar with electronics and everything. Strum it one time. Let's see. Yeah, that's what a G chord sounds like on a G Gibson. That's a nice guitar.
It's nice.
Now, you got another guitar though? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's and I was gonna bring it tonight. Tacoma. It's an early '93 model, I believe, when Tacoma was at their height.
Built out of Washington, state of Washington.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
I think we used to sell them at Crosstown Music. I believe we did. Yeah, good guitar.
Yeah, and previously owned by Peter Frampton.
What about your guitar?
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
Well, I'll try to make a long story short. My sister-in-law, best friends with, I guess she's like a financial and road manager all combined. She used to manage Laura Brannigan also.
I remember her, yeah.
And anyway, she sent my sister-in-law a text or email saying, hey, I know your brother-in-law likes playing guitar with her beau now that she's married to, Shane.
Yeah.
He does too. He's a big guitar guy. Yeah. She goes, Peter needs to trim some fat, needs to get rid of some stuff. Do y'all want, just ask them if they want to look at the list of stuff that goes, that they could offer to buy prior to auction.
Wow.
And they sent a list. I couldn't afford anything. And then way down there at the bottom, Tacoma acoustic, $350.
Oh, Lord.
So, yeah, I said, all right, I'll get that.
That's worth the name alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Peter Frampton name.
Shane got a electric guitar that Brian May designed that Peter had.
Wow.
Oh my God. And I kept it for a little while. He just lent it to me, and man, that thing. Oh, but it was awkward. It didn't have the full scale.
Yeah.
It maybe had 18 frets. Kind of weird. It was, I guess, mainly rhythm. I don't know. But
standard is 22, right?
Right.
Okay,
And
so four less.
But he designed it. Peter had more than one, but Shane had it. So then the acoustic, I sent a question. I go, what's wrong with it? I mean, is there anything wrong? You know, but her guitar tech sent me a video, and I still got it on one of the computers of him playing it. He goes, hey, man, he keeps bending down because I guess the way he videoed it, he goes, there's nothing wrong with this thing. It plays. But what happened, and I've seen tons of guitars that they get a crack right here.
Oh, yeah.
All the way on the lacquer, that is. Not the wood. But anyway, it was an eyesore. So the guitar tech chose that one to go, you know.
Oh, okay.
So I got it, and he had it. It's pretty cool because the guitar case is outlined with the number of it. It's an A1. I think that particular guitar is called an A1. It's a certain color. And there was another little thing, and that's why he had it in his little setup. If he wanted to choose that one, is in his entourage of guitars. But anyway,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. And I got a letter of authenticity to them, and you know, I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. But
that's super cool.
Did you write a song on it?
Yeah.
I
call it Frampton. I just didn't want to label it Peter, you know. So.
Good move. Well, play us a song on Dick right here.
Okay.
Dick Gibson, you know, a friend of mine.
This is, I guess it's people from either Florida, Alabama, or South Carolina. I mean, North Carolina. Coming into our great state. And, you know, and when I wrote it, I could picture somebody else singing. Every time I write something, I could picture somebody else singing it. But you know, the Georgia Pines, Ray Charles, you know, all that combined. You're riding through our state, back roads, this roads, you know, da da da. And he's got this pretty little thing sitting beside him, and man, he's having a hard time driving. And that's the name of the song, Eyes on the Road.
Eyes on the Road. Cool, cool.
Let me see if I can remember all the words.
Driving through the day and night, we see the welcome signs. I could hear it singing, you're always on my mind. The stars are brighter the more south you go. Full moon through the pines on the dirt road. The windows down, tunes aloud, sing as we ride. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side.
goodbye to people we don't know. Another county line and new fun begins. You give me that look and we're stopping again. The windows down, tunes loud, we sing as we ride. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. Yeah, it's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. Riding high as we go, riding high to places we don't know. Well, it's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. Yeah, it's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side. It's hard to keep my eyes on the road with you by my side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. It's a barn burner right there.
That's catchy too. It's catchy. It is. Now you was talking about Ray Charles in the intro there. Was that second line of the song? Did you say something about Ray?
Yeah.
What was that?
Driving through the day and night, we see the welcome sign. You know, every time you come into Georgia, you see that welcome
Welcome
sign.
to Georgia.
on my
Yeah.
mind. And I can hear Ray singing, You're always on my mind.
I got it now. Okay. That was good, man.
Hey.
Yeah.
I can hear some in your voice. I heard a little bit of Rodney Crowell kind of
Yeah.
on the chorus.
You familiar with him?
A little bit.
He wrote Bob Seger song, Till You've Been Beside a Man, You Don't Know What He Want. What's the
I
name
didn't know
of
he
that
wrote
song?
that.
Is that the one that comes to Waycross every now and then? He's got $1 here or something?
No.
Okay.
Who was that? Let's see.
One of you, I think it was his lead player.
Yeah, it could have been.
Rodney
yeah.
Crowell was in Emmylou Harris's hot band.
Oh, he wrote
Oh,
so many
okay.
songs.
Now I know who
Yeah,
you're talking about.
And,
Yeah.
Till I Can Gain Control Again. He's just
your voice kind of reminded me of him
yeah.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was hitting a little. I wasn't hitting that. I think I played that in a lower key, or I was. Usually I play a half step down. Helps me out anyway. But I could tell I was straining on.
No, it sounds strange. It sounds good.
We'll play some nerding.
Let's see. This is one. It's kind of. It ain't nasty, but it's getting to the point. And it's like, working out in the yard with your wife. It's one of those days where you both agree to do this, and you're like, and it's hot, and it's doing this, and that. And then, you start looking at your wife, and you go, I'd rather be doing something else. Then it starts to rain, and that gives you the perfect reason.
Well, as long as you don't say,
Yeah. But
we're okay with it.
I'll play a little rendition of it.
All right. I like this already. What's the name of it?
I love it when it rains. Dog days, not the only thing that's hot outside. There's no shame. See you to your hair up and tied. Liquid runners replace the smell of the taste. Summer water falling down. I love it when it rains. Ooh, I love it when it rains.
might never get this time with you. The rain checks a pilot, so overdue. Take my hand. It's time to pay the piper, baby. Then the sun is replaced. I love the taste. Summer water falling down. I love it when it rains. Ooh, I love it when it rains. And most of the time it's a guitar song. There's a lot of lead. There's a lot of bluesy lead in it. And
Well, it's just like what you were sorry. It's just like what you were saying earlier with your 5-year-old fascination with Santana. You know, that was what you grabbed a hold of at a young age, you know. And there it is. Coming back out again.
yeah, and it's even now, I love all the I mean, what I remember mostly is that "Oh Yeah, Como Va."
That's right. That's it. Mm-hmm.
And
I still don't know what "Oh Ye Como Va" means.
I think I asked somebody. I worked at American Egg Products, and I had like 80 employees, and probably 60 of them were Mexican, and I learned how to speak some Spanish. But I think it's "Come listen to my music."
Okay, makes sense.
And but one of the first things, Carlos likes A minor.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first little scales,
Got a black magic. It's probably the same.
Probably is. Probably. I think he might be a G there. But,
Always loved that song. Got a black magic marker.
Oh yeah, he's got. And he historically he's always had somebody else singing. I don't think he's ever sang one.
Right. He was just a guitar player.
Yeah.
I saw him at Midtown Festival. I think it was '98, and
I think I might have been at that one.
this was
that Dylan?
Dylan. This was the year after Dylan.
Okay.
But this was right before I think they did the.
Oh, wait a minute. You said 98?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, mine was later.
It was right before he did the duets with everybody.
Oh yeah, and especially at Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
It was before that, I think, and then. But man, what a show!
Yeah.
They had like all these percussion guys up there and everything.
And you got some musicians don't like that style, but I don't know. I heard it back then. I still like it. I've heard him do "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" with God, I can't think of her name. She's an awesome singer though. But he's got an album out where he redid even "Photograph," Def Leppard, stuff like that. Whole Lot of Love, Zeppelin. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, he still got it,
Well, he's a pioneer with that.
Oh yeah.
In rock music, of course. What's his name? Eddie.
Eddie Van Halen.
No. The old 50s guy that died
Cochran?
That died. Richie Valens.
Yeah.
He was the first. That.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
La Bamba, that guy.
And
but as far as 70s, early 70s rock or late 60s rock, yeah, it was Carlos Santana. He was like, I bridged the gap.
Oh yeah,
And
his
strong stuff,
even at Woodstock,
powerful stuff. Yeah,
I think he had
What was their first?
Neil Sean played rhythm for him.
Which was Journey's bass player.
Well, guitar player.
Guitar player.
Yeah.
Right.
And can't recognize him, man. His hair. Totally different. But anyway, and their drummer, which somebody said was 16 years old at Woodstock.
Yes.
Jeez, man, he was awesome.
And you look at the footage of that in that movie, and it's like he's like a Dylan Crosby. You know, he's just back there. He's a good-looking kid and everything, but he's just lost in it.
Yeah, and
lost in that talent. He's just absorbed.
Well, you know
by
what
that.
happened, right? You know the story?
Oh.
They all took acid.
Oh yeah, that story. Yeah,
And they thought they were supposed to go on hours later.
yeah.
And then Jerry, I think it was Jerry Garcia, walks out there and was like, "You guys are going on now." And they're like, "What?" And Carlos,
Wow.
I heard him talk about it, and he's like, "My neck of my guitar was a serpent." And he said all I could do was just say to myself, "Don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up." So they were like really freaking out, but they don't look like they were on that.
No,
footage.
you
Oh,
can't.
my
You
gosh.
can't even tell it. But I
Well, you know,
think
I
he's-
heard all the stories of, they were in the middle. All right, they got them in there.
of
You know what I'm saying?
Woodstock.
Yeah, but you really couldn't get out unless you were leaving for sure. You know, so the musicians were in there and was running out of stuff to drink and smoke, and
Oh yeah.
so they would do hats out in the crowd. Hey, this is for you musicians. You know, so people were putting
All kinds of stuff in
well,
there.
when it went backstage, they said Janice would run to whoever who had the hat and be just hogging it, you know. and I can see
Just
that
like
probably.
her.
I mean, it was I'm not gonna sit here and talk about tolerance and stuff like that, but like Hendrix and her, high tolerance. I mean, it took
Yeah.
3 or 4 times what the normal person took back then, probably.
Wow.
But anyway.
What a time it was.
Oh yeah.
Man.
And it was Woodstock was 69. I was born in 69. My dad always said I was a weird year, boy. And the Mets won the World Series. Man walked on the moon,
Walked on the moon.
supposedly. And I still believe he did. Neil Armstrong, I still believe it. But anyway, I had to throw that in there because I have arguments at work.
Well, there's a bunch of conspiracy theorists at
Oh,
the
yeah.
railroad.
Oh yeah, there are. And
MNOP, RSTUV.
And well, I will tell you this: my memory is I'm proud of it. I can remember stuff back when I was a baby,
Really?
rolling around on the floor. There's certain things. And I
Well,
know
you
that
got
sounds
me
weird.
beat on that
I know
one.
that sounds weird, but I can remember going to Jacksonville and going to see "Live and Let Die," Roger Moore,
Mhm.
and that music, the theme song, Paul McCartney, blew me away as a
Well, how
kid.
old were you
Well,
on that one?
I was born in 69. 73 is when it came out. I
All
would
right,
think
so
it'd be
you're about 4 years
74,
old? Yeah.
1974 summer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Dad had it recorded one time on a cassette. He had a little player, and I heard him play it, and I just play it again. Well, he would make fun of me of the way I was asking. I was calling "lit la la." I couldn't say it, lit la. So he'd make fun of me. But man, I loved it. To this day, I actually like Paul McCartney's. I mean,
I love that song.
The Guns N' Roses one's all right, but
Yeah.
that true one, man. It from the moment I hear it on the radio sometime, that first key, when you were, I mean, and as a kid, I loved it. And
That's the way certain songs do me.
Yeah.
From my time at about that
Yeah.
age. Yeah. It's in everybody,
and
wherever you're at.
and I don't know about you. I try not to do it these days, but when I do hear something I really like, man, I'll wear it out. I'll wear it out. I'll play it and play it and play it, and then I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
but good songs hold up,
Yeah.
But and I'm a late bloomer on venturing out, listening to a lot of stuff. But that Black Cherry Smoke, man, is
Blackberry.
Blackberry. God, I always do that.
Well, it's like when Connor, my son Connor, who's the drummer for Pine Box Dwellers,
Yeah.
when he was about 6. No, he was about 5. I was playing in the backup band for Percy Sledge at Little Nice.
Yeah.
And so we were down there for a rehearsal.
That was 88, wasn't it?
It was 90 something. It
Oh,
was after
was it?
Connor was born.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably about 98. And we were all down there, hanging around after the rehearsal. And Connor's standing there, little 5, 6-year-old. And Roger, the guy that used to run the disco set up in the corner, was out there telling a story. He said, yeah, and man, and it's like Buck Cherry, the band Buck Cherry. And Connor says, excuse me. I swear to God, excuse me. And Roger stops and looks down at this kid. And he said, I think you mean Chuck Berry. And then Roger said, This kid. He got a hoot out of that now. That's my boy.
That's awesome.
But blackberry smoke, as you were alluding to.
Yeah. And I'm not saying there's a lot of new music out there, but I don't think there is. I mean, there's not a whole lot we can.
There's a lot out there. That appeals to me or you. I'm very discerning, in my old age. And I don't even want to hear another James Taylor or Rod Stewart new album. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
They were great when they were great.
In the prime. Yeah. And
anything now is just like I'm trying to bring it all back. Mm-hmm. Or in Rod Stewart's case, it's like, here's some of my greatest songs that have inspired me over the years, and be Frank Sinatra and Doris Day, so, like a rehash, which is great for Rod Stewart fans. And I am a Rod Stewart lover, but I love that Wake Up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you.
Or the Faces.
Yeah, the Faces. I'm a big historian now. Take me back. Don't take me forward.
Bruce Springsteen's got a new album where he's just doing standards.
Yeah, it seems like they get to that point and then that's it. But, all the best to them. I mean, I love them because they were original and they were seminal in their influence on modern music. But after a certain point, it's time to go to bed.
Right.
No, that's cruel.
Yeah, they still love it too. It's just
I know they do, but they're at that level, And when you're at that level, you feel like, well, I owe the label another album before 2025. So,
well, you're probably looking at. I only got so many years left. Let's get as much money as I can for my family and whatever.
I guess. I guess that enters into it too. Yeah.
So kind of.
And that's why you see them come back on the road.
Yeah.
Some of them, But I was going to compliment you guys too. At the last couple festivals, hearing you guys play out, even back there where we were at the night you were talking about, we was hanging out by our fire. But I heard some songs that I haven't heard you do and you. Mm-hmm. And it never ceases to amaze me, man. I mean, y'all are on a caliper of good songwriters. It's some good stuff.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. And
it's what we love to do.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to there. And,
And it's time. It's time with me. It's, working out on the road and then you come in and,
Yeah. And I was like that too.
Yeah.
In the 90s. And which leads me to this. It's time for a tale of the week. Y'all put the kids to bed now and turn your YouTubes up just a little bit lower.
Turn it up lower.
Turn it up lower. Because this song kind of is a reflection on what you just said about, you work 40 hours a week, sometimes more, and you come home and it's like, I'm dead tired. I ain't even thinking about writing a song.
But even I want to throw this in there. Even playing music for your job.
That's a job.
Yeah.
When you come home, you don't feel like picking the guitar up at all.
But
you don't write nothing.
if your head hits the pillow and all of a sudden you're drifting into that cosmos between sleep and real world when the songs start coming.
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention to it, you got to get right back up. If you're a real songwriter, you got to say, "Oh God, no, you're doing it now." You got to wake up, get your guitar, or sit down and write whatever's coming. And it might not be a line or a verse. And if it gets into the whole song, that'll really piss you off, right? Because you never know. The other thing about that is you never know if it's something that you're going to keep or not, But it's just the beginnings of anything, like a song like that. You have to pay it respect. You have to at least start writing it down and see if it follows through, and it could end up being one of your best songs. So this goes back a ways. This is one of my tales of the week. I motored my old Ford Econoline van through Ludowici, the notoriously infamous speed trap of South Georgia when I was growing up, heading to Savannah, where I was scheduled for a week of window clerk training at the River Street Postal Facility. Hiring on with the Waycross Post Office in April of '85 as a mail clerk, I had sorted my fair share of letters, magazines, and packages for over 7 years when a job vacancy opened up for the front window, selling lickable stamps to the many tongues in Waycross. I got that position and headed off to training on Sunday, the last day of February 1993. Passing through Hinesville, I saw on the sign, "Fog Hat, Wednesday night," right out front of the Big Apple nightclub. There it sits. That's probably more of a modern day picture right there, but it looked just like that. I think now it says Saturday, Young Dro. Ev. I think it's a strip club, but not when I was there in '93. It was kicking as a nightclub. And as the sign said, "Fog Hat, Wednesday night." So this was a Sunday. I was driving to postal school. I filed it away for consideration, headed on to my hotel room in Savannah. The first day of postal training found me alongside two other potential window clerks in a clinical classroom overlooking the historic Savannah River. Our instructor was a no-nonsense lady who had worked up the chain of command in the Postal Service. After 3 days of mind-numbing concentration, learning about postal rates and fees, package dimensions, certified, registered mail, I was leaning more and more to a Wednesday night getaway in Hinesville. I called up my future wife, Lynn, told her to drive my old blue F-150 to Ludowici, where we would rendezvous, leaving the truck in a convenience store parking lot. She rode with me in that Econoline van. And over the years now, I've loved surprising Lynn with musical mysteries and destinations unknown to her. She always played along And being the music lover that she is, she was fairly titillated when we pulled up under the big red apple hanging over the roof of the nightclub in Hinesville. Because it was Foghat, a well-known British blues band in the early 70s featuring Lonesome Dave Peverett, Tony Stevens, and Roger Earl, all former members of another British band, Savoy Brown. Adding a second guitarist, Rod Price, Foghat went on to chart with big hit songs, I Just Want to Make Love to You, Slow Ride, Fool for the City. The band played the rock circuit in America often, and I managed to see them down at the Jacksonville Coliseum back in the heyday. Being a young musician myself in those days, my first band, Sweetbriar, actually played That'll Be the Day, written by Buddy Holly, but covered by Foghat from their debut album. I still got that one to this day. The group's biggest hit came in 1975 with Slow Ride, a sleazy, head-banging, slide guitar-driven tune inspired by sex, the favorite subject matter of blues, rock and roll, and young boys everywhere with enough money to buy records and condoms. The stage inside the Big Apple was less than a foot above the dance floor, where Lynn and I danced and boogied all night long to Foghat and Lonesome Dave, up close and personal. Their set list for tonight was Fool for the City, Honey Hush by Big Joe Turner, It Hurts Me Too by Tampa Red, Louisiana Blues, Driving Wheel, A Lie for a Lie, Third Time Lucky, Sweet Home Chicago by Robert Johnson, Play Dirty, Stone Blue, I Just Want to Make Love to You by Willie Dixon, and Slow Ride was the big ender. On the last song, Lonesome Dave flipped his guitar pick into the crowd where Lynn ceremoniously claimed it. I think it landed in the sweat right there. And after 3 hours and several pitchers of draft beer, we decided it was best we book a room in a Hinesville motel where we continued partying into the morning. The next morning, I called in sick to window clerk training class, which didn't sit well at all with the no-nonsense lady instructor. By the time I dropped Lynn off at the blue pickup truck in Ludowici and made it back to my hotel room in Savannah, I was greeted by a phone call from Waycross postmaster Mickey Lee. I packed my bags and returned to Waycross, passing by the Big Apple one more time. The window clerk training was rescheduled for a later date, and Mr. Lee, grinning from ear to ear, because he figured I'd been out carousing on River Street all night before, mildly chastised me. Little did he know just how right he was. Now, here's the clincher, folks. That man right there on our screen is Scott's father-in-law. He married. Now you pull up the next picture, the random pic. He married that beautiful little blonde-headed girl on the left, Polly, who we all love, and that's her, not twin.
No, sister.
Okay. They do look very much alike, only it's salt and pepper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that picture was taken at the Kentucky Derby, I believe.
It was at the Derby.
Because Mickey's always been a horseman.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess that your wife too, or not so much.
She loves them.
Yeah.
She just doesn't ride them. And you know, she helps Mickey out with the feeding the horses and stuff like that now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people talking about him being he's a legendary horse whisperer. You know,
Is that right?
Oh yeah, from back in the day.
Well, he was my boss for a while.
Oh yeah.
When I hired on in '85, Al Jackson was the postmaster, and Mickey was the assistant postmaster, and eventually Al retired, and Mickey moved into the postmaster position. And eventually he retired. But I've always got along good with Mickey.
What year frame was that?
85 through 98.
Okay.
He used to make out the schedule as the assistant postmaster. And of course, I was playing music in 85. I put together a band called The Keepers. And we played old 60s. We were a 60s
I remember you guys.
tribute band, I guess. You know, a lot of
I think you played
all
at one
60
of,
songs.
a dance, one of my dances or something in high school.
Ain't no telling, boy. We played a lot. Our first gig was an AA meeting. Yeah.
Golly.
It's like, you know, you're playing for stone cold sober people. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can tell when you're sharp or flat. But he used to schedule me so I could make my gigs on the weekends. You know,
Oh, that's
'cause I was
awesome.
part-time flexible for a while there. I didn't make full-time regular until a certain time, you know. Yeah, but the time that I was out there having to go to work at 3 a.m, you know, get off at 11:30. Certain weekends, you know, held gigs, you know, and he always helped me out with that.
Well,
I'll always remember that too.
First time I met him was in 89 when I went and picked Polly up
Yeah.
for a date. And we, you know, back then, that's when we first met. We dated a little bit, and then we just stayed friends.
Mhm.
Nothing escalated till probably about 98, 10 years later. So
Yeah.
Paul and I were just friends for the longest part.
Yeah.
But that's the first time I met him. Now, when Polly and I got serious, I swore he was trying to kill me on one of those horses. He
Come on, ride with me,
let's
son.
go ride. Let's go ride. Now, well, I'd be on one of the horses that hadn't been ridden in forever. And I remember after riding going, I think he's trying to kill me. But it wasn't as bad as that. But it was.
Is Polly the oldest of the children?
No. Michelle, her, then Mitchell.
Her and Mitchell. Okay.
But
That's funny.
that is funny. It was and it was always I went on more than one horse ride with him. But you know, I think Mickey's this tall.
Yeah.
Now look at me.
He's
The saddles that he probably had made, it wouldn't go, but my legs would still be like this. And one time the saddle was going around, and I was like, Mickey, this thing, you know, hit a vine with my neck. We was going slow though, and I said, well, I'll tough it up, and maybe I'll break that vine. Well, you know, the saddle and everything come off, and I remember I fell. And thank goodness the horse didn't do nothing. He stopped, just looked back at me. And then Mickey was like, don't ever tell nobody you fell. That's one of the, you know.
one of the things you don't do.
Yeah, like it was a big horse rider thing, you know. Don't ever tell nobody you fell on your second ride.
Here you are telling thousands of people.
Yeah. But I tell you, he's been a good pa-in-law. And
Good.
my mother-in-law, she's going through a time now,
Yeah.
and she needs praying for. But
Well, we
other
wish-
than that, I'm blessed with
Mhm.
the family. It's all good.
Well, we love Polly, and we love you. And like I said before, you know, I appreciate y'all's support of the music festivals, and we're musicians, brothers. We're brothers of the road.
Yep.
Because even though you full time with the railroad, you're still out there plugging away in the clubs and
Trying to keep it alive.
restaurants
Yeah.
like we are. So we got that in common, and I appreciate your help getting me in some places that I needed. And
Sat back at you.
yes,
You
sir.
helped me. Yeah.
That's absolutely. That's what it's all about. And the best to your family and you yourself is for a pretty remarkable story that you relayed to us tonight. You know, I hope that continues. And best to your mother-in-law too, Polly's mama.
That's right.
And folks, we are done. We'll see you the next time. Don't forget to email us and head on over to patreon.com for our Deep End podcast, not but $5 a month. You'll get a kick out of it. And we want to thank our buddy for being with us, Mr. Scott Wilson.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes,
It's
sir.
an honor.
It's a good one.
Long time coming.
Mhm. We'll see y'all next time.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate.